Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mastery Method English, the podcast where beginners learn English through engaging stories. I'm your host, Layla, and today we have a wonderful story for you. It's called The Adventure of Lily and the Secret Garden. In this episode, you will learn new words and phrases and practice your listening skills. Let's get started. Once upon a time, in a bustling city, there lived a curious girl named Lily. Lily loved exploring and discovering new places. One warm spring morning, while walking through her neighborhood, she noticed an old, rusty gate slightly ajar. Behind it was an overgrown garden that she had never seen before. "What's this place?" Lily wondered. Her curiosity got the better of her, and she carefully pushed the gate open and stepped inside. The garden was filled with wildflowers, tall grasses, and ancient trees. It felt like a secret world hidden away from the busy city. As Lily wandered deeper into the garden, she heard a faint rustling sound coming from behind a large oak tree. She tiptoed closer and found a small bird with a broken wing. "Oh dear, you're hurt," Lily said softly. The bird chirped weakly, and Lily gently picked it up. She decided to help the bird and named it Tweety. Lily carefully carried Tweety home and made a cozy nest for him in a small basket. She took care of Tweety every day, feeding him and making sure he was comfortable. Slowly, Tweety's wings started to heal. One sunny afternoon, while playing with Tweety in the garden, Lily met an elderly woman who was tending to the flowers. "Hello, dear," the woman said with a warm smile. "I see you've found my secret garden." Lily was surprised. "Is this your garden? It's beautiful. I found Tweety here, and I've been taking care of him." The elderly woman introduced herself as Mrs. Green. She explained that the garden had been neglected for many years, but she loved coming here to enjoy its tranquility. Mrs. Green thanked Lily for helping Tweety and invited her to visit the garden any time she liked. Lily was overjoyed. She continued to visit the secret garden every day, helping Mrs. Green with the plants and playing with Tweety. The garden flourished with their care, becoming a vibrant and lively place. One day, as Lily and Mrs. Green were planting new flowers, they discovered a hidden path covered in ivy. Excited, they followed the path and found a small magical pond. The water shimmered in the sunlight, and colorful fish swam gracefully beneath the surface. "This is amazing," Lily exclaimed. Mrs. Green nodded, her eyes twinkling with delight. "This garden is full of surprises. Thank you for bringing it back to life." Lily felt proud of her discovery and the friendship she had formed with Mrs. Green and Tweety. She realized that sometimes the most wonderful adventures happen when you least expect them. From that day on, Lily, Mrs. Green, and Tweety spent countless afternoons exploring the garden, discovering its hidden treasures and enjoying the beauty of nature. Vocabulary and phrases. Let's look at some important words and phrases from our story. Ajar, slightly open. For example, the gate was ajar, inviting Lily to explore the garden. Overgrown, covered with plants that have grown too much. For example, the garden was overgrown with wildflowers and tall grasses. Rustling, a soft, crackling sound. For example, Lily heard a rustling sound behind the oak tree. Tranquility, a state of peace and calm. For example, Mrs. Green enjoyed the tranquility of her secret garden. Flourish, to grow or develop well. For example, the garden began to flourish with Lily and Mrs. Green's care. These are some words you can use to describe discovering new places and helping others. Practice exercises. Now let's practice. Here are some questions about the story. What did Lily find behind the rusty gate? How did Lily help the bird she found? Who did Lily meet in the garden, and what did they do together? Try to answer these questions using the new vocabulary we learned. Also, Imagine you discovered a hidden place in your neighborhood. What would you do? Practice using the words ajar, overgrown, and rustling in your sentences. Listen to the story carefully one more time. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mastery Method English, the podcast where beginners learn English through engaging stories. I'm your host, Layla, and today we have a wonderful story for you. It's called The Adventure of Lily and the Secret Garden. In this episode, you will learn new words and phrases and practice your listening skills. Let's get started. Once upon a time, in a bustling city, there lived a curious girl named Lily. Lily loved exploring and discovering new places. One warm spring morning, while walking through her neighborhood, she noticed an old, rusty gate slightly ajar. Behind it was an overgrown garden that she had never seen before. "What's this place?" Lily wondered. Her curiosity got the better of her, and she carefully pushed the gate open and stepped inside. The garden was filled with wildflowers, tall grasses, and ancient trees. It felt like a secret world hidden away from the busy city. As Lily wandered deeper into the garden, she heard a faint rustling sound coming from behind a large oak tree. She tiptoed closer and found a small bird with a broken wing. "Oh dear, you're hurt," Lily said softly. The bird chirped weakly, and Lily gently picked it up. She decided to help the bird and named it Tweety. Lily carefully carried Tweety home and made a cozy nest for him in a small basket. She took care of Tweety every day, feeding him and making sure he was comfortable. Slowly, Tweety's wings started to heal. One sunny afternoon, while playing with Tweety in the garden, Lily met an elderly woman who was tending to the flowers. "Hello, dear," the woman said with a warm smile. "I see you've found my secret garden." Lily was surprised. "Is this your garden? It's beautiful. I found Tweety here, and I've been taking care of him." The elderly woman introduced herself as Mrs. Green. She explained that the garden had been neglected for many years, but she loved coming here to enjoy its tranquility. Mrs. Green thanked Lily for helping Tweety and invited her to visit the garden any time she liked. Lily was overjoyed. She continued to visit the secret garden every day, helping Mrs. Green with the plants and playing with Tweety. The garden flourished with their care, becoming a vibrant and lively place. One day, as Lily and Mrs. Green were planting new flowers, they discovered a hidden path covered in ivy. Excited, they followed the path and found a small magical pond. The water shimmered in the sunlight, and colorful fish swam gracefully beneath the surface. "This is amazing," Lily exclaimed. Mrs. Green nodded, her eyes twinkling with delight. "This garden is full of surprises. Thank you for bringing it back to life." Lily felt proud of her discovery and the friendship she had formed with Mrs. Green and Tweety. She realized that sometimes the most wonderful adventures happen when you least expect them. From that day on, Lily, Mrs. Green, and Tweety spent countless afternoons exploring the garden, discovering its hidden treasures and enjoying the beauty of nature. Vocabulary and phrases. Let's look at some important words and phrases from our story. Ajar, slightly open. For example, the gate was ajar, inviting Lily to explore the garden. Overgrown, covered with plants that have grown too much. For example, the garden was overgrown with wildflowers and tall grasses. Rustling, a soft, crackling sound. For example, Lily heard a rustling sound behind the oak tree. Tranquility, a state of peace and calm. For example, Mrs. Green enjoyed the tranquility of her secret garden. Flourish, to grow or develop well. For example, the garden began to flourish with Lily and Mrs. Green's care. These are some words you can use to describe discovering new places and helping others. Practice exercises. Now let's practice. Here are some questions about the story. What did Lily find behind the rusty gate? How did Lily help the bird she found? Who did Lily meet in the garden, and what did they do together? Try to answer these questions using the new vocabulary we learned. Also, imagine you discovered a hidden place in your neighborhood. What would you do? Practice using the words ajar, overgrown, and rustling in your sentences. That's all for today's episode of Mastery Method English. We hope you enjoyed the story of The Adventure of Lily and the Secret Garden and learned some new words. Remember to practice using the new vocabulary in your daily conversations. In our next episode, we will have another exciting story for you. Until then, keep practicing and have a great day.